For this case study, Catherine Silkner and I decided to do the earthquake that occurred in Ridgecrest, California in 2019. This earthquake was the largest earthquake to happen in this area in 20 years. This earthquake happened July 4th to July 5th, 2019 in Ridgecrest, California. It was located between Walker Lane and East California Shear Zone, east of the San Andreas Fault Zone. The earthquake was caused by active faults taking up stress due to the active motion by the San Andreas Fault across the West Plate boundary. Shaking was felt all across southern and northern California and even as far east as Phoenix, Arizona. The magnitude of the earthquake was 6.4. Previous smaller earthquakes occurred 30 minutes to an hour before this earthquake. The depth was 10.5 kilometers, and this happened on a shallow strike-slip fault, and aftershocks ran across the fault from the southwest to the northeast. After the 6.4 magnitude earthquake, a 7.1 magnitude earthquake formed on the fault line as another shallow strike-slip event with a depth of 8 kilometers. The after effects were right lateral displacement along the MW 7.1 rupture, 3 meters offset dirt road near the MW 7.1 epicenter, and disrupted surface of the China Lake Playa. Both the unpopulated and arid nature of this region of the Mojave Desert allowed for incredible detail of field and remote sensing observations of the large surface ruptures, making this one of the best mapped surfaces ruptures many geologists have ever seen. Although the area was majorly unpopulated, the impacts of the event were still felt in local neighborhoods and counties. The damage was estimated to be about $1 billion. Stretches of Highway 178 were left visibly cracked. There were no fatalities, and homes were torn off foundations, as some even caught fire, and many were left with gas leaks, but most remained in good shape. You may ask, why was the damage relatively minor for most homes? The area homes were relatively new, 1 or 2 story, and built with the types of material that would make them more resilient to earthquakes. Had the epicenters been near bigger cities with less resilient buildings, earthquakes of these magnitudes would have been devastating. People who also had local California earthquake insurance were able to help cover repairs and emergency housing. People who felt the major impacts of the earthquake had to relocate or move into local shelters. This is an image of Highway 178 that had visible cracks after the earthquake. As you can see, there is damage to this highway with a crack going all the way through the highway. Since the area of the Ridgecrest earthquake was primarily desert and a naval air weapons station, no major effects hit climate and local wildlife. Landscapes of the areas heavily impacted by the earthquake magnitude were affected through displacement and disrupted surface. Most groundwater level sites were left unchanged, but at 2 locations there are long-term changes in slope and permanent altitude shifts of the groundwater levels. The atmosphere was left unchanged. As of now, effects were only seen on a local scale, but since the Ridgecrest Fault is connected by the Garlock Fault to the San Andreas Fault, future impacts are potential. Scientists have been able to use this earthquake for increased research on earthquakes located on and around the Ridgecrest Fault. Many seismologists and scientists quickly began investigating the surface rupture and shaking, detected warping, and were able to measure the fault slip. Another study from the 2019 Ridgecrest earthquake sequence by Barnhart shed light on how earthquakes contribute to the long-term permanent geologic record of faulting. Many people who lived in this area realized how important earthquake insurance in California is in recovery. Buildings under construction today continue to implement building practices to withstand earthquakes in the area. Both local and national governments contributed to funding for local relief efforts. Finally, here are sources that we use to find all of this information.